Hey everyone, it is Brian Kaz here, joined by my friend and business partner Sean Casey. We have another exciting call for you today for our WebFire Wednesday call, and this is part two. On this part, we'll basically focus more on the marketing side, but this will be how to market services with WebFire that you can sell for 500 to 1,000 plus each. In some cases, that's even per month each for a single client. So last week we basically talked all about 5 different services plus a bonus one that you could easily do with WebFire and turn around and sell that as a service for hundreds or thousands of dollars each. And then we gave some tips last week on like certain ways to market each one, but we were asked on the call where if we could give even more ways as far as how to market. So we'll call this part 2, and we'll talk more about that. Now, the ways to market don't just apply to the services that we basically talked about last week. They definitely do apply there, but a lot of these tips can be applied to almost anything else out there. So even if you're not interested in any of those 5 services or so, you can still easily apply the training to almost anything else that you want here. And again, towards the end of the call, we'll have plenty of time for Q&A as well on anything that you want. So without further ado, we can get this show on the road. So once again, my name is Brian Kaz, and on this call right here, again, will be part 2, how to market the 5 services that you can do with WebFire for 500 to 1,000 plus each. So again, welcome to this call, and I'm sure most of you know, but in case you're brand new, these calls are every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, where we'll have either a live training and or a Q&A call. So if this is your first call here, maybe just say a quick yes in the chat box, just so I can see who's new here. I recognize a lot of names from before. All right, looks like we have a handful of new guys. All right, Andre, Samantha, John, Steve. All right. So welcome if you're brand new, and in case you don't know, again, every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, which is about basically a couple minutes ago, we'll have a live training or Q&A call for our members. These trainings will either feature myself, Brian Kaz, Sean Casey, both of us at once, or occasionally a featured special guest if we think that their expertise would be of value to our members. Usually I'd say about, probably 4/5 to 9/10 of the calls usually are either myself or Sean, but occasionally we'll bring in a special guest if we think that they have something of value to share and train you guys on. If you're here or you're registered for this series, you'll get a reminder each week so you don't forget. But if you can't make one, we'll have the recordings in the members area within a day of any of the calls under the training tab on the left side navigation bar. So you'll just click on training, and then you'll see a sub bar called Wednesday calls. You'll click on that, and then you'll see all the trainings listed there with the most recent ones at the very top. Listed by basically the title of the call, so you can clearly see what's what there. Now, this call obviously is also being recorded right now, so either later today or by tomorrow morning at the latest, we'll have that call available under the training tab as well there. And you want to use these calls as an opportunity to get even more training, ask strategy type questions, get feedback, or make suggestions on what else you'd like to be trained on. As a special note, make sure to check out our prior Wednesday calls and our other WebFire trainings, as there's tons of info already there that a lot of you are asking for more training on. So make sure you sort through and search through those first, because there's a ton of trainings there. And although we sometimes touch base on some of the key topics, more than once, you'll make sure you check the prior ones, because oftentimes we see guys saying, hey, can you do a call on this? And we'll have an entire call devoted on just that we did in the past there, so make sure to check out those. And very, very briefly, we'll talk about the WebFire member rules to success. First one is follow the steps and the trainings that we have. If you don't get the results that you want, make sure that you follow the trainings, follow the steps, and that you're doing everything. What I find is 9 times out of 10, if someone does not get the results that they want, they're usually missing at least one or more of the steps or the things that we mentioned in the training. So make sure to focus on that. The number 2, don't give up. And this means also, seek help when needed, but don't get too dependent at the same time. Like if you don't know what a certain term means, okay? Oftentimes if you do a quick Google search, you can find out in seconds what that means. So it's not like you have to write us and ask us if it's a simple question that you can solve in seconds, but by all means, if you legitimately get stuck, reach out to us. We're happy to help, but one of the big things we see is that people that give up too fast obviously tend not to do too well in anything in business. Those that stick with it and learn from their mistakes tend to do the best. And I know that might sound like common sense, but you'd be surprised at the number of people that don't follow that. And last but not least, no whining or negative attitudes, because we feel that that's really the quickest way to fail. I've seen guys in the past where they, let's say they try to rank for 10 keywords, and let's say they successfully rank really well for half of those. There's some guys that get really excited at that, saying, wow, this is absolutely awesome. Then there's some that get really, really down about that and negative, saying, oh, well, this sucks because I didn't rank for all these words that I wanted, just some. That's really the quickest way to fail, is if you're trying to look for something to be down upon. And I think that's true whether it's in business or life, so try to avoid that if possible, and if you follow all those 3, I think you'll do just fine. And just a quick announcement too, we have a London workshop. Sean will actually be out in London in about 2 weeks, I think. Right, Sean? Is it two or 3? And we have
technically 2.5.
2.5 weeks. All right. So in 2.5 weeks, we'll have an event there, and for right now, it's free for our users, and you can go to getwebfire.com/London, and you can sign up for free, and you can get all the details on where that is and the times and all that right there. But it's free while the seating lasts. So again, make sure to go to getwebfire.com/London. So make sure to jot that link down and maybe check that out later. Again, it's just getwebfire.com/London, and that is free. It's a one-day event for you. Now let's move on to our training for this week on how to market the 5 services that you can sell for $500 to $1,000 plus each with WebFire. So on today's call, we'll basically first review the 5 services. Actually, there was a bonus one, so technically 6 from last week. So we won't go over in a ton of detail on each of those because that's what last week's call was for. So make sure that if you missed that call, that you watch that call, because it's, again, available in the recording section under the Wednesday trainings. So make sure you watch that, because that was a pretty good one right there, but I'll briefly review those. Then we'll have the majority of the call will be focused more on additional tips of how to market them, and then we'll end with the Q&A like we always do, as well as the cash giveaway. So you can earn some cash at the end of this call, or win some cash, I should say. So the 5 services plus the bonus one were right here. First, we talked about general SEO last week, and again, I won't go into detail on these because that's what last week's call was, so if you missed it, make sure to watch that. But one of the services we talked about how to do was general SEO, and we gave tips and stuff on how to market these a little bit like last week. Like for the SEO one, we talked about how you could create like a sub niche offer of SEO for dentists and how to best go about that. And again, those usually can range from 1 to 5K up front, or 500 to 1,000 plus a month. We also talk about the second service of video creation, optimization, and distribution, which can go from 500 to 1,000 a pop. Then we also talked about done-for-you blog creation and ranking. That's usually for 2 to 5K plus. Then we also talked about a PR service where you can charge 500 to 3,000 plus. In fact, the record here that I've seen a client do in terms of charging, I say 500 to 3,000 plus just because I think that's a good range to shoot for. But we actually have had a client in the past sell one for actually $1 million to a single client. And I think that's obviously, the extraordinary exception there, but an awesome example of how you can get a lot more than just what we say right here. Another service that we also talked about last week is about how you can do and sell a lead selling service, which you can usually sell for 300 to 1,000 plus a month as well. And of course, there's additional things like social media management and stuff like that. And all those, again, you can easily do with WebFire, and they can easily, you can easily get hundreds to 1,000 plus a month for a lot of those right there. And we have lots of clients doing, one or more of these, or a combination of them as well. So we just wanted, these calls to show that, hey, not only can you use WebFire for your own stuff, you can turn it into services that you can sell to others as well. So kind of a win-win. Then, of course, we also talked about last week on the bonus method, which was what I call a deal maker, where you can basically link up deals and stuff for other businesses, and of course, more details on how to do these, or what exactly they are, or some additional tips on how to market a little of each one. Make sure that you check out the recording for last week as well right there. So I just want to briefly touch on those before I jump more into how to market more. So last week we covered some specific tips for each one that can help market them. Again, like we talked about with SEO, you can create like a sub niche. We talked about how you can record your video screens showing why some sites rank, why some sites don't, and we talked a bit about a handful of tips with each one. So be sure to check out last week's call too, especially if you missed that. But these next tips that I'll share will basically help market some of these methods or services that you can do even more, as well as they'll often apply outside of those 6 methods as well. So if you're doing something that's outside of those methods, a lot of these things will still apply to you as well right there. So keep that in mind. So moving on to, again, how to market these more. First, you want to properly target your ideal prospect. And I see a lot of guys mess up on this simple step 1 right here. And if you mess up on step 1, you're pretty much kind of almost doomed. Not entirely doomed, but you'll have a much harder time. So one of the things with that is you want to reach out to those in need of your help, who you can also easily help and get fast results for. Oftentimes, guys just reach out to almost anyone and just offer a service. And that's very hard to make a sale. I mean, it's kind of like saying, if you're a painter, do you really want to walk up to a random house and sell a painting service if the house looks freshly painted, looks awesome inside and outside? I mean, do you really think that a lot of those guys will say, yes, even though I just freshly painted this house, my house looks perfect, I want to pay you thousands, tens of thousands of dollars to paint me again, just because I like throwing out dough? I mean, is it possible? You could get extremely lucky. Maybe a person says, you know what, I don't like this blue, I want to change it to red. It's possible, sure. Is it likely? Not really. Likewise, if you reach out to someone that looks like they have maybe their paint starting to chip and fall apart, and they could have it redone, they're probably much more likely to possibly hire you. That's, again, a crucial point, oftentimes overlooked, that guys will just offer a service but they won't even know if they can really help. Like if there's let's say a website that's already ranked well for a lot of terms, there's not necessarily a big, you know, reason for them to hire your SEO service to rank them better. Likewise, if they're, you know, if the target terms that you think they should rank for, they're ranked nowhere on page like 1 or 2 for, and on top of that they don't have the keywords in their titles or even mentioned on their sites, you can help them very easily. It wouldn't be that hard to get them, you know, ranking on page 1, and at the same time you can give them a massive benefit with a minimal amount of effort. You also want to target only those that have the money, where 1 or 2 sales can make them a quick profit. This is the second most common mistake I see. Guys try to target a service where they're charging like $1,000 a month, but the business that they're trying to target, you know, might not even make all that much. And you know, if there's a business that, let's say, makes, I don't know, let's say $3,000 a month, and you're trying to say, hey, I'll charge you $1,000 a month, you're basically saying, give me a third of all your sales, and you know, hope that I can get you results and make you a lot more. They'll have a hard time believing that you can do that good of a job. Or using the house painting example, if there's a rundown house where everything is run down, the roof is falling apart, there's weeds all over the lawn, you know, yes, they could probably benefit from a paint job, but what are the chances that they would follow through and hire you for 10 grand to paint their house? Probably not all that much if they let everything else go. It probably is a good indication they don't have the money. Likewise, you know, on the business side, you can't always tell what businesses are doing great or not, but you can get a general idea. Like, you know that probably, you know, a plastic surgeon probably makes more than a shoe repair store. Now, is that the case 100% of the time? No. You know, you might have, you know, a plastic surgeon that, you know, has a very bad clinic, doesn't make much at all. You might have a shoe repair shop that makes a fortune. But, you know, you could probably guess that, you know, 98 to 99% of the time, the plastic surgeon makes a lot more than the shoe repair guy. And the shoe repair guy probably doesn't have a ton of dough to spend on you. I mean, if they give you $100 a month, they're gonna like watch that really closely, and they're gonna make damn sure that they get an ROI off that right away, or they're going to cancel. Likewise, if there's a guy that makes 100 grand a month, and if he gives you $1,000, you know, a month to do some work, he's not watching that as closely. He won't be as annoying, and you know, any extra that you can make him, he'll think, well, gee, if I get just 1 new client a year, I'm making an ROI on this. And that's oftentimes much easier for you to deal with those kinds of clients right there. So after you target guys that have money and you can easily help and get results for, which is huge. Again, that's the ideal, most important step 1 there. You want to move on and create an unbeatable hook, ideally something that you do for free or give out, followed by a great offer with a great guarantee. And this is where you basically offer something for free to get them to respond, either to opt into your, you know, squeeze page, or just to email you back. You don't even have to have a squeeze page. If you cold email these guys, you just want them to respond to you. And you know, with that, you want to, you know, not only stand out from the crowd, but you want to have basically an offer that I call a no-brainer offer. So, for instance, using SEO as an example, a lot of guys will just cold email and say, hey, I see you don't rank all that well. I can rank you real well. Pay me $1,000 a month, and I'll do that. And that's basically the standard offer that you see, which is a joke, because that probably doesn't work terribly well for, you know, 99.9% of those guys. And there's no reason to really write back, because you see that and you say, oh, these guys are full of bullshit. You know, there's no reason why I should pay them, you know, any attention or even write back, and you lost that lead. Whereas if you give them something for free, like let's say on the SEO side, you could say, hey, here's a free website analysis I did specifically for you. and you attach the report for them, that's something of value right there. Or if you say, hey, if you write back and let me know, this or that, I'd be happy to write a custom report for free and show you a couple ways that you could rank higher or get more clients or make more money, where it's like no obligation to them. Or if you want to go like above and beyond, you could even say, hey, I'll make you a free mobile friendly site just for considering our service. And in that case, you can go on like Fiverr and find guys that will make a custom basic mobile site for $5. And yeah, I mean, it might cost you some time or money, but to get a good lead to write back that might be worth $1,000+ a month, it's worth it. And another example is if you're selling the lead service that we talked about last week, you can actually go ahead and say, hey, here's a handful of leads I found this week that could be matched up to your offer right there. That's the kind of thing where the guys don't have to take your word that, or they don't have to trust you that you can find them leads. If you physically show them leads right up to the bat, they're like, wow, this looks like a pretty good few leads right here. You catch their interest, then they're like, yeah, I would definitely want more like this each week. So have an unbeatable hook like that, and then you want to follow up with your paid offer, but have a great guarantee on that. So using the SEO as an example, you might have a website analysis, which again, WebFire can actually do for you, a completely custom one where you don't even have to lift a finger. That gives a lot of info and tells them what the problems are on their site, how to fix them, so on and so forth. And then you can basically say, hey, if you don't want to take the time to fix this yourself, we can make all the corrections for you. And on top of that, you can offer a guarantee, like a couple examples that are there are like, if you don't get them ranked for X amount of keywords, you'll do an extra month free, or you'll work until it's ranked free of charge. Then, or usually what I think works well is you don't want to guarantee that you can rank them for anything, because there's a couple of keywords that guys will want to rank for that will just be very, very, very tough, and the average business out there isn't necessarily the brightest. So there could be a guy that let's say he's a dentist in Atlanta. He might say, oh, I want to rank globally for teeth whitening. Now, there's no reason why he should really rank globally for that. He probably could rank for teeth whitening Atlanta, Georgia, or teeth whitening for like a suburb, of Atlanta. But sometimes they're just not the brightest, so you don't want to guarantee that you'll rank for anything that they want. But if you say, hey, if you give me a handful of keywords that you think you'd want to rank for, I'll look over those, and I'll provide you with some additional keywords I think you would also want to rank for too, and then you can run those through the keyword tool in WebFire, see which ones are easier or hard to rank for, and then maybe come out with a list of like 10 keywords that you think would be decent to rank for, but at the same time at least half of those appear to be fairly easy to rank for with like little to no competition, and then you guarantee that you'll rank them for at least one or more of those keywords right there. So you're not guaranteeing that you'll rank for everything, but you're guaranteeing that you'll get them ranked for at least some of those right there. And you say, as you do more work, obviously they can increase their chances of ranking for additional keywords on top of that too. That can be a guarantee where they're like, hey, if I get ranked for just one or two of these words on page one, that's worth the investment right there. And that's how they think right there. You can also say, if you have the service where, let's say you do the PR service where you get them featured on like guest blog posts and stuff like that, you can guarantee that they'll get featured on at least like one or two places, and you can do the work until it's done right there. So it gives them a guarantee. Or if you do the lead offer, you can guarantee that at least like one or more take them up on the offer, or you'll work for free until at least one takes them up on the offer, or anything like that. You also want to have social proof or examples of the results for them to see. So this can be a great tip here. Now, you don't absolutely need it, especially if you give them like an SEO report and they see that you know what you're talking about. That can kind of be used as social proof right there, because you're saying, hey, this is why you rank well here, or this is why you're good here, this is why you're bad, this is what you need to fix. That gives some social proof right there. But at the same time, if you're, let's say, selling a video service, even if, and this is one where, like, let's say you make a video, like a fancy one, and you go to like a Fiverr guy, okay? You can ask those guys, say, hey, if I resell your video service, can I use the examples you have here as mine to sell to these clients? Most of them will say, yeah, sure. And if not, you can just pay like the $5 or $10 and get a couple made just to show off right there. So any kind of social proof or examples that you have can really go a long way too, right there. And if they see that you know what you're talking about and you can back it up, they're far more likely to go ahead and hire you then too. Now, for offers like SEO services and stuff, do a video showing a Google search in their market and explaining why some sites rank while others don't. And usually that can be as simple as the ones that rank tend to have keywords in the title and on the page and such, or the ones that, like, if there's a local business that has its number listed and they show up on the map and all that, they usually use what's called a schema, which you have a schema maker, again, inside of WebFire, which I'll show you when we do the cash giveaway and all that. I'll show you how easy it is to say, hey, do you want to be this guy or do you want to be that guy? You can show them a site that's using a schema that basically takes up the whole half front page of Google, that has their address, has their hours, has the map, has all that. Do you want to look like this guy or this other guy here? Here's why this guy basically takes up the front half of the first page. He uses what's called a schema, blah, blah. It can make you look like this. If you don't have one, you're more likely to look like this guy over here. And that's really one where if you do a video showing that off, it's like, wow, this guy knows what he's talking about. I see what he's saying right now. He's saying this guy ranks because of this. This guy does not because of that. I want to be like this guy right here and change the issues on my site. And sometimes like a quick personalized video, it doesn't have to be like a personalized one for each prospect. It could be like, a video for all of the dentists in Atlanta, then all the dentists in Madison, then all the chiropractors in Atlanta, and all the chiropractors in Chicago, or wherever you want like that. So you don't have to make a ton of them, but that can really go a long way. And then you want to tell them exactly what they want or exactly what they need to do to fix that. Now, some of you might say, well, if you tell them how to fix that, won't they just go ahead and fix it and not use you? No, and here's why. First, a lot of them don't have the time to. And second, a lot of them think that's way over their heads. So they're reassured that you know what you're talking about, that you're telling them how to fix it, but they won't want to do it themselves. Because realistically, if they wanted to do it themselves, they could have Googled it, figured out how to do a lot of that, researched all that, and they probably wouldn't be in the position that they are now. So don't worry much at all about that. Then present your offer with your guarantee. And you can reach out to them via email, contact forms on their sites, or using our lead tools to find prospects asking questions on such topics. So you could use like the real-time lead finder or the rank lead finder or the tweet lead finder inside of WebFire and literally find guys asking questions on the topics that you could be selling them services on. Then just, again, take a minute to basically answer them, give some useful info, and then drive them back to your site or your email or whatever you want. Now, again, for all of the services, again, our lead tools can help find prospects asking questions But again, you can take just a minute to basically answer and establish yourself as an expert, and then lead them to your site, to your email, video, and so forth to try to get a sale made. Oftentimes, even just leaving like an email can work very, very, very well, where you don't even need a site there, and it doesn't come off as spammy, especially if you provide value. And at the same time, instead of waiting for a SEO video or blog client, you can just go ahead and make and rank the sites or the videos ahead of time. So you can make a site or like a video from scratch in a random market that you're trying to target, and here is the benefit of it. Worst comes to worst, you can use this as social proof. So if you never make a sale there, you can use it as as social proof for future sales. But in a lot of cases, you can just sell these to prospects who don't need the social proof because they're buying a pre-ranked site or a video at a premium price. So if you make a site or a video and you get that ranked ahead of time, okay, someone doesn't need social proof that you know what you're talking about. You're saying, hey, I got this site or blog or the video ranked, and here's the example of it right here. If you want it, it's this much. They're not going to say, well, do you really know what you're talking about as SEO? Are you good at ranking? They don't have those questions because they can already see that you're ranked right there, and you're selling or renting that same thing off right there. That can work very well, and it's a great way to kind of, in your spare time, while you're waiting for prospects or sales, you can still make these without a ton of effort, using the methods that, again, we talked about last week and on prior SEO calls and stuff. So last week we talked about the services that you could do. I think the week prior to that, or maybe 2 weeks prior to that, we talked about like everything you need hands-on to like rank a site. So if you follow those steps right there, you can get a blog or a video easily ranked, especially for low to mid competitive keywords. And there's a lot of very good low to mid competitive keywords, especially on a local basis. That again looks like you're essentially an expert, and you can easily rent or sell those off too. Now, you can also go the extra mile and list your services up on classified sites like Craigslist, Gumtree, and so forth under the services-computer category, or comparable ones. There's several classified sites, and each one might have it called a slightly different thing, but on Craigslist it's services-computer, and you can list that up for sale there. You can also find guys under the gigs-computer section, where people are basically asking for specific help for like maybe ranking or stuff like that. So you can actually find prospects there as well, and reach out to them. And on that same note, lots of web marketing forums like warriorforum.com and stuff have sections where you can list services for sale as well. So if you have a service and you get the social proof from that, you can list those up on those sites, and target some guys that way as well. You can also find lots of prospects on sites like Upwork.com, where you can bid on prospects that are often telling you exactly what they want and how much they want to spend. So if it falls under one of the services that you can easily do with WebFire, that's awesome, because you can then again reach out and sell directly to them right there. You can also, on the same side too, if they want additional stuff outside of it, you can look at a site like Fiverr, and you can find a lot of guys who are willing to do some pretty nice work for $5. You can turn into part of your offer too. Like if you plan to make and rank, let's say, a video, instead of making like a basic one, you could hire a guy on Fiverr to make like a cartoon animation one, make it really fancy, and then you can use WebFire to easily help rank that video. Using the video Firestorm tool, we allow you to easily change the tags and the titles around that, so you can have it basically optimized from the get-go to rank. And for $5 on Fiverr, you can have a lot of really cool looking videos and stuff made too that you can then get ranked here, which to the right prospect for $500 to $1,000 would seem like a steal of a deal, when really that costs you $5 and maybe 5 minutes of your time. So a pretty good deal right there. Another thing that you can do is what I call the Fiverr hook trick. And this is where you list some kind of a service up on Fiverr.com, Fiverr.com yourself, and your goal. So usually on Fiverr, most of the things there they sell for $5. Okay, you don't really get rich on selling a $5 thing. Now, of course, there are exceptions of some guys that have made a ton of dough off that, but the key here is basically offer something that's almost like a lead grab that's likely to lead to a larger sale. So examples of that are, you could do like a website analysis where you tell them exactly what's wrong with their site, but not only that, you tell them exactly how to fix it, knowing that a lot of those guys won't want to fix it themselves, so they could hire you to make all those changes at that point. So you could turn a $5 sale into a $500 sale or more, or in some cases even like 1,000 plus easily off of a Fiverr by getting leads that way. Or you could have a service where you say, hey, you'll find them at least 5 leads or 10 leads that are interested in what they could be selling them right now. You find them those leads, you hand them those leads using our lead tools. You can export leads there. Then you say, hey, I can do a service where every week I send you all the leads that I find, and it's X amount per month. So once they see that, hey, these are real leads here, they seem to be relevant to them, all of a sudden it gets them hooked, and they're far more likely to follow through with you and buy from you later than too. So it's a great way to find guys that are looking for all sorts of things on Fiverr, and basically take it from there. Or on the flip side too, if you want to be really clever, you could take a guy on Fiverr that makes really awesome videos, let's say, and most of the guys on Fiverr, they charge $5, but they make 4 because there's like $1 that goes to Fiverr itself. You can go to those guys and say, hey, if I pay you $4 directly, can you make me these and blah blah, and then you can list that exact same service up on Fiverr, knowing that you break even. So like if they make like a video, but on the back side, you can then try to upsell those guys, saying, hey, now that you have a video made, for an extra $100 or $200 or anything like that, you can guarantee that they'll get ranked on page 1 of YouTube for a keyword, or for like one of 3 keywords that you think they'd have a good chance of ranking for. And then you use again the video Firestorm tool to help with that. Or another kind of alternative of that is you can go to a top seller on Fiverr. Okay, so let's say, and I'm using the videos just as an example here, so this is like a video making service, but it can apply to a lot of the other services as well. You could go to a guy that makes videos on Fiverr. You can see that there might be a guy that has maybe like 5,000 video clients done that are happy. That's rated really well. If they have 5,000 clients, or in some cases there's ones that was like 10,000 or 20,000, that they're obviously getting a lot of clients. And so this is a killer trick right here. So it's probably worth writing this down, making sure that you don't forget this right here. You can go to those guys and say, hey, I see you have a killer video service right here. I specialize in getting videos ranked on YouTube and such, and I guarantee it with this, blah blah. Would you be interested in possibly offering a white label service where you could charge maybe $100 or $200 to get this ranked, or even several times that, and then they split that with you. So to this guy, he might say, wow, this is an easy way to make $100 extra when he's used to making $4 at a time. So you say, wow, this is an awesome deal. He has to do 0 extra work himself, and that's all pure profit for him. He doesn't have to do anything, and you're the one doing all that work right there. So one deal there, a single deal that you make there, can make you a ton of dough, because you're basically on the back end of the guy that already is getting a ton of sales, a ton of traffic, and a ton of exposure. And you can apply this to anything, whether it's SEO, whether it's a blog making service, whether it's a PR service, a leads service, all of these, or even stuff that's way outside of that. You can find, any guys out there that get a lot of sales in a niche that is related to yours, but not necessarily competing with yours, that your offer can actually complement theirs. And if you allow them to either just be an affiliate or just sell it as a white label, which basically means they can say that the service is theirs. You're just the guy basically on the back end that does the service. A lot of guys love that, and you should too, because it's a win-win. You don't have to actively market it. You just do the work or outsource the work for a fraction of the cost and profit. So don't forget about that trick right there. You can also, there's actually a couple clients we had that we helped give an example of. Instead of on another hook that you could do on Fiverr, instead of like selling a guide or training for $5 and how to do like a stock trade or a forex trade or anything like that, you could do a service where you walk them through their first trade for $5 on Fiverr, which sounds like a really awesome deal, because they'll have hands-on coaching for $5. But as part of that, they might have to sign up for a stock account or a forex account where you could get paid hundreds of dollars in commissions for them to sign up for this account right here. So you're not just doing that for the $5, you're basically making hundreds of dollars on the back end, knowing that they have to sign up anyway for one of these right there. So again, just keep all that stuff in mind right there. Another example I had too is on the diamond market, which was one of the first markets that I was in, where I was just an affiliate. One of the things I did was I basically offered a service where I would help people find quality diamonds at a good price. I didn't sell them myself. I was just an affiliate. So I did that as a free service, took like a minute or two of my time, and I could recommend specific diamonds to them from specific sites through my affiliate link. Knowing that they were legitimately good deals and quality diamonds, and it saved those guys a ton of time because they don't have to do the research themselves. It saved them a ton of time, and they legitimately got some really awesome deals there too. So try to think of what you can do there for either free or cheap. Cheap if it's on the Fiverr side, that can lead to a larger sale, or an affiliate sale where you get paid a lot more. The next trick or method I want to talk about is what I call the question SEO blog post or video method. And so what you basically do here, and why this works, is any service that you sell, you want to try to think, well, gee, what is my prospect thinking of right now? What questions is he or she currently asking or searching on Google right now? For instance, if there's a guy that does not rank at all, he might have a question like, why don't I rank? Or some, like, any question that you could possibly think of. Brainstorm like maybe 10 to 20 questions that you think people have, and then what you want to do is go to the keyword tool in WebFire, and then instead of there's two options. One, you can type a single keyword and find 50 related ones. Skip that and click the second option, where you can type in as many keywords as you want, separate them by a comma, and it will analyze those. Type in the keyword or the question phrases right there. So type in the entire questions right there, separate them by a comma, and then see how many competitors there are on Google. Don't pay too much attention to the search volume, because Google tends not to give like a lot of info on probably like half of the searches search for, especially if it's like smaller search volume and stuff like that. And if you know that if someone asking the question is a highly relevant prospect, you just want to rank for that essentially anyway. So you want to look for ones that don't have, you know, more than like at tops 1 or 2 sites on page 1 that are title tag matches that have the keyword, you know, in the title tag. And if there's like 0 sites that have that, you have a very good chance of ranking, or even if there's just one or two sites. And then you want to create a blog post or a video where the title is the question itself. And then throughout the content of it, you want to re-ask, you know, essentially the question, and then you want to basically answer it right there. So if the question is, why am I not ranking on Google, you can basically give all these tips and stuff on why they might not be. Like maybe they don't have the title or the keyword in their title. Maybe it's not in, you know, the content. Basically anything that the website analysis tool would probably say anyway. You can mention just a few of those right there, and then you turn that into a blog post or a video with your actual answer. And then at the very end, have a light pitch and say, hey, you know, if you're interested in ranking, or you're interested in this or that, you know, feel free to reach out to me here, or feel free to check out my site here, or feel free to check out another video or anything here. That can be a great way to, over time, get a lot of steady traffic. Or for like the PR service, you might have guys saying, you know, how do I get exposure on CNN, or how do I get exposure on Forbes, or anything like that, which, you know, our guest blog tool can actually find places like that, and you can actually turn that into a service and easily do a lot of that. You can have a question that says, you know, how can I get on CNN.com or some site like that, and you can basically answer saying, hey, you know, a lot of places always look to run stories and yada yada, and you know, oftentimes if you reach out to these places and, you know, write up a story, you know, there's a chance that, you know, you'll get exposure on it and blah blah blah. If you'd like it to be more hands-free, we have a service that, you know, can reach out to, you know, 100+ places, you know, very quickly, and you know, blah blah, and you know, you'll basically manage the entire thing. That's really appealing for a lot of those guys, and they might say, well, gee, you know, they Googled a question trying to find an answer, which you gave them, and at the end of the answer, you have a light pitch into the relevant service right there to basically do that all for them right there. And over time, I mean, if you pick even a couple questions a week or a couple questions a month to write a blog post on or do a video on, what you'll find is over time, you'll build like a bunch of spider webs that are just meant to catch various random prospects and stuff there searching all sorts of stuff. And that's one where, you know, over time, that can last for a very long time and bring in a steady flow of traffic, where even though like a single question might not get thousands and thousands and thousands of hits a month, is it possible? Yes, there's certainly some questions that get a ton of searches, but even if there's one that gets only like, you know, 10 or 20 searches each month, over time, that adds up big time. And once you get enough of those as blog posts or videos and stuff, that can turn into a lot of traffic in the long run. The next then is you know, what to say to prospects, or how best to reply to them. And the key here, you know, we have some prior trainings that specifically address you know, how best to write prospects or reply to them. But you know, the #1 tip I have there is, don't try to sound like everyone else. And try to actually give value. So the key in every case is give value first and foremost. Legitimately help them. Help answer the question they have. Help clearly show you know, what you can do for them, or give them something clearly of value. Like for instance, if it was like an SEO prospect to you, you could say, hey, I saw that you're ranked on page 3. I see that for, you know, these 3 key keywords, which are ones you probably want to rank for, that, you know, you're not ranked well, and you don't seem to target these well on your site, you know, blah blah. In fact, if you're interested to find out why you might not rank, I actually made you a video and attach the website analysis for you to see why. Once you watch that, or once you go through the website analysis, if you're interested in having me fix all that for you, I can do that very inexpensively and very quickly too. And I can also guarantee my work too, and guarantee that you get ranked as well. And that is, again, like much more appealing to a lot of these guys, because again, you're providing value first and foremost, rather than, hey, I have an SEO service, click here and buy. And if you're interested in like a much more in-depth call on specifically how to reply and talk, we have prior calls that dive into just that as well, that you might want to check out. But the key is, again, always offer value first and foremost, and then clearly, if you try to give them a pitch at the end of that, identify what the benefits are. Don't just say what you can do. Identify what the benefits are. Like, hey, if we fix up your SEO issues, you'll rank better. This will get you more clients. You'll look more legit. Blah blah. All that right there. Another pro tip with this here is the more done for you that your actual offer is, the more you can charge, and the more easily you'll land sales. A big mistake I see guys do is that they make it a hassle to buy from them, or they make it a hassle once a person buys. The more work you ask a person to do, the less likely they are to be happy, and the less likely they are to buy from you. So if you have, like, let's say a video service, you want to do everything for them. You want to make the video, you want to rank it, you want to just do all that right there. If you have, let's say you have a service where you make them like a schema, which is I'll show that in just a bit, but that's one where there's some guys out there that say, hey, I'll give you some code that you can paste on your site, and most of those guys are like, man, I just paid $1,000, now I have to do this work, they don't know how, and they get frustrated. Where instead you can basically say, hey, I'm happy to add this stuff on your site. I'll just need this info from you, like you might need their FTP, and you say, if you don't know that, I'm happy to call the place for you if you let me know your account number, and blah blah blah, and you can call for them and take care of that. Or you can say, or if you don't want to give out the FTP, I'm happy to give you the code if you want to paste that in as well. So you can offer that as an option, but you want to make sure it's as done for you as possible first. Or if you're like, let's say you have a service, and this is like another example. If you have a service where, like, let's say you write, like an article, okay? Selling an article writing service by itself is very tough. You can't get a lot of profit off it. In most cases, not a lot of guys are interested in it. But the difference between an article writing service and a blog making service where you create, optimize, and rank a blog isn't all that much more work. I mean, it's literally, you can make a blog on blogger.com in a couple of minutes. Then you just copy and paste in essentially the article or the articles, and you can optimize the site very quickly and easily. But the difference is you'll get more guys way more excited about a done for you site than a pre-written article. And instead of charging $5 to $10 for a simple article, you could charge $500 to a couple $1,000 for that pre-made and optimized blog, because again, you made it more hands-free for them, more done for them as well. So always think, what can you do to make your offer be more done for them, or done for you as it's often called. And with that too, that kind of goes into the same note on this next tip right here. The difference between a $5 service and a $1,000 service oftentimes isn't that much work or cost to you. And again, the example was, to have a simple article written, might only cost $5, but to turn it into a pre-done, pre-made, pre-ranked site, you could charge thousands for. It's again not that much more work. Or on the video side, there's guys on Fiverr that might make a simple, cool video for $5. But if you had a service where you create that simple, cool video and you get them ranked on YouTube and possibly on Google even at times too, that might not be all that much more work. I mean, literally, it might be several minutes more of your time to submit that through the Video Firestorm tool and have it be optimized for the keywords that they're trying to rank for right there. But that's the kind of service that $500 to $1,000 seems like a steal. Okay, but the amount of work isn't all that much more. We're talking minutes more, but the difference of $5 compared to possibly $1,000. So always think like, hey, what can you do to charge more, and what's some additional value that you can give without having to necessarily take a lot more time or a lot more money to basically do, but has a lot more value to the client at the end of the day. So try to think of what you can do with that as well, and you should be off to a great start there. Now, last but not least, I want to briefly talk about why some people fail. And typically it comes down to one of a few things. First, they don't think through their offer at all. Sometimes there's guys that try to sell an offer and they don't really even know what their offer is. Like they'll say, oh, I sell reputation management or I sell SEO, but they don't really know what they're even doing or talking about or selling. And if you can't say what you do or what your offer essentially is, you won't get a sale. Okay, or I should say you'll have a very tough time. It's kind of like if you're a home builder and you say you build homes, and a guy's like, okay, great, you know, we're looking to build a house. What kind of homes do you build? And you know, this builder guy goes, oh, I don't know, I just build like basically any homes, like, you know, just homes in general, and yeah, I'm a home builder. And they don't give any examples, and they don't like really think through what their offer is. Or if you say, okay, well, great, what would you charge for this? And you know, they fumble around and say, oh, you know, I don't know how much I charge. You know, I'd have to you know, talk to you more. And if you say, okay, well, we're looking to build, you know, a 3,000 square foot ranch, and we want this, and this, and you know, you can see like there's guys that oftentimes like they don't give a quote, they don't know what their offer is, and they kind of just look like a fool. I've seen that a couple times too, where you really want to think through what exactly is your offer, what all do you do for that offer. Make sure you know that first. The second mistake I oftentimes see is guys that sound like everyone else. They'll write a single email that says, hey, I see you're not ranked, I can rank you better, you know, here's my fees. And that sounds like everyone else out there. There's nothing unique to them. There's no examples, no social proof, no value, no tips that they're passing on to the prospect. No, you know, again, social proof, no hook, no special free offer, anything like that. And another thing too is oftentimes the offer that they have can sound like a lot of work to the prospects. I've seen guys that will have like an offer, and they'll require their prospects to like fill out pages and pages and pages of, you know, of info, and it just seems like way too much work for the actual guy, where he's like, ah, screw this, this is a lot of work, I'm going to pass on this. Which goes back to the more done for you, the more hands-free you can make an offer, the more you can charge, and the more likely they're going to buy from you. Another thing I oftentimes see is people don't target their ideal prospects whom they can get the best results for and great results and ROI. So if there's the guy who's already ranking well, and you know, that's the guy that you're probably, you know, might be a bit more hard to convince that you can really help him. Can you? Possibly. There's always like additional keywords and stuff that you could rank, but there's not necessarily a sense of urgency. Likewise, there's a guy that you can help, but you know, only, you know, sells like a $5 product, and he has to sell like, you know, 1,000 of those to make back what he's basically paying you. He's not going to see an easy way to make an ROI on that. Even is it possible? Sure, but it will take a lot more sales to make it worthwhile. Whereas if there's a guy where 1 or 2 sales gives a huge ROI, the logic is, well, gee, if I get even 1 sale, I make a profit. So if I get 1 sale a year, I'm making a big profit. And if you couple that with a guy like that who also isn't ranked well, who also isn't trying to really target the keywords well on a site or anything like that, you're much more likely able to help that guy right there and get them ranked well and get them the results that they're looking for. And when everyone's happy, it's a win-win, because they'll go back to you, they'll continue paying you each month, they'll look for additional stuff that they can buy from you, and the second you make them a profit, you have that guy hooked, because it's a no-brainer at that point. The other mistake I oftentimes see is people don't have a good reply or a post or a good hook. So again, this is a big one that you want to make sure to go back to the stuff I just mentioned, and ideally give something of value for free, whether it be a free report, a video walkthrough that you made, an example of how they can get the results that they want, something of value that's free that shows that A, you know what you're talking about, but B, even if they don't buy from you, they walk away thinking that you're a nice guy because they benefited from you in some way. And then if you have an offer with, a guarantee on top of that hook right there, that can work really, really, really well. And a rule of thumb here for a tip on that last part is, try to put yourselves in their shoes, okay? So if you're not sold by your own email, chances are they won't be sold. And that goes back to, a lot of things here. If you put yourselves in their shoes, would you buy from you? If the answer is no, then maybe you should fix the offer or fix the email or fix whatever it is right there until you're like, damn, this is a pretty good offer here. I would buy this myself right now. And at the same time too, target the ideal prospects that have the money that you can help the most. Have it be as hands-free and as done for you as possible. And again, spend maybe even let's say even an hour a week reaching out to prospects out there, that you can actually help, that you can actually benefit. And with that too, I see there were a handful of questions of guys asking if there's any easier ways and stuff to get the leads and stuff there, so or how to get these leads. So most leads, again, you can find a lot by hand just by doing a search. Like let's say you sell an SEO service for dentists, okay? You can go to Google and type in dentist Madison, Wisconsin, and you'll find a huge list of guys ranked there. Some will obviously be ranked at the very top. Some won't be ranked at all. And some will be ranked page 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, which basically is almost the same as not being ranked at all. And you can go through those sites, get the contact info there, and reach out to those guys one by one. And that's the method. Sure, it takes some time, but it can work well. Likewise, for a lot of the other services and stuff, you can use our lead tools to find prospects out there talking about and asking questions related to your niche and reach out to them through there. But we also have 2 extra tools that can help with some of that. And I know some of you have seen that in the past. We have one called Lead Power Machine, which can, if you basically type in dentist or chiropractor or shoe repair, and then type in a location anywhere in the world, it can find all the businesses of that type right there, and it gives you the contact info on them, gives you the email, the phone, the address, if they rank on page 1, 2, 2 or 3, all that right there. And I'll actually, I'll just have Sharon post up that link for you in the chat, because I know there's a couple guys asking on that right there. So I'll have Sharon post that link up in a second for you. And the second thing that we have that can help too is if you're really interested in being trying to dive into sites like Upwork and stuff where you find guys that are asking to buy a service, we have a tool that can search that site there, that can search those sites, and at the same time find guys on Fiverr that basically match up for $5. So you can find a guy that's willing to spend $500 to a couple thousand and match it up with the guy that's looking to spend $5 on the left side right there. If you're interested in that, we have another tool called SaleMaker Pro, and Sharon listed both those up in the chat. So the lead power machine is just getwebfire.com/LPM, and you can watch a replay of that if that's of interest to you, because I had a couple guys ask that probably saw that in the past, so I'll just list it up right there. I didn't mean to have that as part of the call originally, but since a couple guys asked, Sharon just posted that link for you. And the second one is if you want to be a middleman for services and stuff, you can check the replay we have of that at salemakerpro.com/replay right there. So if that's of interest to you, you can check out both of those that Sharon just listed in the chat box as well right there. But again, all these super easy to actually do, but definitely set maybe like an hour aside each week. Just reach out and market and contact the guys, and you'll be shocked at how you'll eventually, again, make a sale then. Once you make your first sale, it gets super, super easy to make additional sales then. So your first one typically is the hardest, even though there's some guys that get one right away, especially if they follow like all the steps and stuff here. Once you make that first one, it just gets way easier. And this is a great little side business to have, where if you have a main business, you can use WebFire to help with all that stuff, get more clients for yourself, more rankings and leads and all that right there. But on the side, you can also use this as a service to sell to others. Or if you just want to start from scratch, let's say you're brand new and you just want to sell services and stuff on the side, this is a great way to do that right here. So with that, we'll move on to the Q&A, followed by the cash giveaway. Now, to do the cash giveaway, as most of you know, you just have to go to getwebfire.com/FB group, which is a link that you see right there. That will forward to the Facebook group. If you're not a member yet, you can just join for free, and Sharon will approve of you, usually within like a minute or two. And then she has a post up where she's essentially asking what you thought of today's call. If you leave a comment in that post, okay, like anything that you want, what you thought of it, anything you want to hear, anything at all, we'll pick a random person that left a comment there in about 5 or so minutes. And we'll give $100 away that will pay over PayPal today to you on the spot. So just leave a comment there, and we'll give away $100 cash in just a few minutes right here. And for those of you that missed it, if you're interested in attending our London workshop in about 2.5 weeks, you can sign up for free at getwebfire.com/London. So just getwebfire.com/London. So Sean, as guys do that, did you see any questions or anything that popped out? I know you've been answering some in the background as I was talking here, and then we'll move on to the cash giveaway.
Sure. April was just asking, did you say you were going to do a demo of the video service?
A demo of the video service. One thing I did say, which I'll show off when we switch the screen to the Facebook group, I'll show you a demo of the schema. So that might be what you were confused of there.
You did mention showing them the schema, yeah.
Yeah. So I'll show that one, and that's like a super easy pitch. Now, what it might be, I think I said, is on the schema, I'll show you how you can, like, if you record your own screen, you can do the schema pitch in like a minute. You can also do an SEO pitch in like a minute. So when I switch the screens, yeah, I'll show that. So that's probably what you meant there. The video of how to do that pitch right there. So when I switch the screens to the browser, I'll quickly do that too. So yes, you can stay tuned for that. Anything else, John, that you see?
Okay. Sorry, I just had to laugh. Somebody was just saying they're not sure how they're still in this webinar because their laptop says they're not connected to the internet, but they're still in the webinar. So that one I can't answer for you. All right. Pretty much I got everything else answered. So I think we're good if you want to flip over to going live, do the quick schema explanation, and then go to Facebook and give away money. Please, when you're posting on Facebook, just post once. Don't post like 7 times and be a jerk and be like, oh, I'm going to post a bunch of times and try to sneak in and get more chances to win, because that won't be a nice thing.
Okay.
And if you do have a question, pop it in now.
All right, so very, very quickly, I'll just show you, I'll just refresh the screen right here. So right here is the Facebook group, which again, just go to getwebfire.com/FB group. That's the easy way to find it. It'll just forward you here. And then on the post, it'll just be right here. Sharon has a post up saying, hey, how did everyone enjoy this call? And you just want to leave a comment right here. Then it'll pick a random $500 or $100 winner in about 5 minutes. So in about 5, we'll pick a $100 winner. And as you guys do that, I'll show off the other example with the schema and also the SEO example too. So what you can do here is, for instance, one of the tools we have inside of WebFire is the schema tool. And a schema, as a lot of you know, is what helps make a site look like this. Like if you have a site here that lists up like a bunch of other sites or a bunch of other pages on your main site, so it looks huge. It's also this big right side then, where you have like a map, a picture of it, has reviews, has, if you're a local business, will have your address and your number and your hours and reviews on it, and it can even have your social media accounts. If you're a blog, it'll have like the latest blog post of yours. If you do a schema for a video, it will list additional info on it. It just looks nicer. I mean, even like basically the stars you see here on some sites, that can be done through the use of a schema. And regardless if you have a local business, an e-commerce site, a blog, anything, it can work with any site at all. And we have, again, a tool inside of WebFire that can help you with all that right there. I'll show you real quick. Schema markup tool. Oh, and I have to re-log in. So I'm just going to pause the screen as I do that. So I've been logged in a bit too long. And then as soon as I get re-logged back in, then I'll show off that. But as it does that, I'll just share this next part right here. So what you can do to basically sell essentially the schema. Oh, and it looks like here, it loaded the other part, so I'll just switch screens over to that real quick. There we are. So I'll go over to what the schema. So you go down to here where it says schema markup, and right here it's like super easy. You just pick what kind of site you have or what kind of site your client is. So if it's like a local business, it'll look like that, and you just fill in the info right here. Ask for like their address, their hours. If they're a restaurant, it'll ask for like the menu, and it'll give you a simple code that you paste onto the site, and it can make it look like that, in the search engines. Or if you're just like a blog, it just look like that. So it can make it look much, much nicer. Or if you're like a real estate, then it can look like that. So or if you're like a product page, it can list prices and reviews. So all sorts of stuff like that. But then what you can do to basically sell that is you can do a recording of your screen where you basically show a site that uses a schema and one that does not. Like in this case, you can say, hey, you see how this local business right here by you, if they're in the same place, ranks real well and looks real nice. He's like, and say, hey, the reason why he has a nice big map there, he has reviews there, he has his numbers there, and all that. And the reason why he basically takes up the entire right side and the entire top here is through the use of what's called a schema. Now a schema is basically a way where you give Google some additional info about you, and through this code, it gives you a much greater chance of ranking well and giving a lot more info on you. And now, in the pitch, you say you certainly can do this yourself, but it takes some tech skills and some work. But I'm happy to do this for you for X amount of money, whether it's $500 or $1,000 or whatever it might be. You can easily help them, with that. And all you have to really do is type in the info and fill out as much info as possible yourself. And then if anything's left that you don't know, you can just ask them. But usually if you just search their website, you'll know what their hours are, you'll know the address. I mean, you can make it super easy where you just paste in a simple line of code on their site, and within usually a couple days to a week or two, they'll show up in Google like that. So again, very, very powerful thing. But your sales pitch essentially is, hey, do you want to look like this guy right here, or do you want to just be like a site that looks like this down here, which is a simple plain site. You don't really see it all that well, blah, blah, blah. Or do you want to be like this guy that literally dominates page one and looks really neat and really, really fancy, with his number? Or if you're like a restaurant, like let's say restaurant. If you're a restaurant, you can basically say, hey, do you want to look like one of these guys right here? Or do you want to just be like some site that's listed way down here? The other thing too is if you search this from like a mobile phone, the ones that have a schema, you can click to call oftentimes. So they'll be listed right here, and you can click and call from your phone itself. So you can basically say, hey, do you want a guy to be able to call you just right from Google itself, like click to call, or do you want them to have to click on your site, go through your site, and hope to find a number? Which one do you think they're likely to do more? The most likely, they'll just call the first one that they can easily call. And that's a simple pitch. Now, for a general SEO client, you could basically say, like, hey, here's the keyword dentist, Madison, Wisconsin, right here. And you want to skip essentially the ones that say that they're basically ads, because those don't follow normal SEO rules and such. And you can basically say, hey, here, on the non-paid ads, do you want to be like these guys right here that show up right here with like their rating, and their numbers, and they should show up, on the maps at all, as well as like ones down here? Or do you want to be like the guys on page 2 and 3? And what you can do is say, hey, here's why some of these guys rank, and here's why some don't. This one here ranks because, hey, look, the keyword is dentist, Madison, Wisconsin, and what do you see about the #1 ranked site? Magically, oh, it has the keyword phrase we're trying to rank for in the title. That's why it's #1 on the non-paid listings. You see it show up right there because, again, it shows up right here at the very top and right here because, look, it has the keyword dentist, Madison, Wisconsin, which is the keyword phrase we're trying to look for. Whereas, the guys that rank below that and stuff, they're not bad, but like this guy right here, he has Madison and Wisconsin in there, but they're not side by side and stuff. And if we look at, if we go to like page 2 and stuff, you tend to see, even less sites. Like this guy says Madison dentist, which is, probably an okay phrase, but dentist, Madison, Wisconsin is probably searched more. And you see like a lot of guys that just don't have that phrase in their title, and that's why they're not ranked. Okay, so you can say if you want to get ranked for those terms, you want to try to use the keyword phrase, on the title as well as throughout your site. And if you want to give additional tips, you can. And then you say on top of that, you can feel free to check out an attached, website analysis that I gave you that breaks down several things that you're doing wrong, as well as a few things you're doing right, and what you can do to fix those things that are wrong. If you'd like me to fix those for you, let me know, because I can fix those for as little as X amount of money, and that can be your personalized video. Okay, and one of my favorite video recorders to use. There's a program called Camtasia, works on the Mac as well as Windows. I think the downside is they're like, I think the Mac version was like $97. I think the Windows might be twice that. But I find it like super easy to use. There's a free one that's comparable. I think it's a bit more hard to use, but it's free, called Cam Studio. And that's a free one right there. But basically anything that you can do where it just records your own screen as you talk, and again, there's free ones out there like Cam Studio. That's all you have to basically do right there. Then just hand out that, as well as if you want a website analysis for them right there, and that can work as well as, again, the schema example I showed you. It's like, hey, do you want to be like this guy or like this guy right here? That, again, you're providing value. You're basically telling them exactly what's wrong, exactly why some sites rank, why some sites don't. So you're not just saying, hey, I can rank you. You're saying, hey, here's why these guys rank, here's why these guys don't, and here's what I can do to help you if you want to save some time on that right there. So with that, should we do the giveaway, Sean?
Well, preferably I'd prefer to keep the money, but since we promised.
All right.
Let's do it.
All right, so I'll give you guys maybe 10 more seconds to do a post right there.
Yeah, and while they're doing that, Brian, people were asking two common questions which are related. One is, do you put the schema on a specific page and make it for like a specific page, whether it's a home page, whether it's a location page, or do you put it on all pages?
It depends on the type of schema and what you're trying to basically do. And the easy answer with that is, in some cases it's just on the home page. On some cases, like an e-commerce site where there might be like tons of different products, you'd have one on each of the different product pages and such. But we actually have a walkthrough on the schema tool that actually walks you through how to basically do that in each case. So if you're trying to jump into that, make sure to watch that first. So it totally depends upon the type of schema. But yeah, in a lot of cases, it will just be like a site-wide one. Like for a lot of local ones, like it will apply to basically all the pages. But for like an e-com one, if there's like 100 different products, each product might need its own little schema essentially, because it might be specific to the product that the page is on. So with that, was that the second question too, or is that just the first one?
No, yeah, there's both related, yes.
Okay. So I will refresh this now. All right, let me see. 47 right there. I'm gonna count. There's usually some guys that comment outside of it too, so I'll just make sure. Oh, look, there's a person right here basically asking for some. If there's anyone that does SEO or reputation management work, so obviously there's a possible gig right there for those of you that could follow up on that if you want to get some extra dough. All right, so a few of you made a comment outside of here, so that's fine. Let me count the ones outside of here first. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, 6 plus 47, so that'd be 53. I'll go here. So you can guys see this is completely random and live. So it's 38. All right, so 38.
We'll count backward. Be halfway in the middle, right?
38. So we have 47, 46, 45, 44, 43, 41, or 42, I mean. 41, 40, 39, and 38 is Francis. Was that the 38 was what I said, right? Yep. So, Francis, where were you? Right here. So, Francis, if this is you or looks like you, and you studied at Addison, Illinois, congratulations. You are $100 richer, or I should say you will be as soon as you give your PayPal info to Sharon. So in the chat, if you just want to give your PayPal email, she'll make sure to get that over to you right away. So again, congratulations to Francis for being our $100 winner this week. And again, thanks to all of you that have left these comments and such. And again, most importantly, make sure that you guys take action on this too. I don't care if you set like a half hour aside or an hour aside or two hours aside. Like each week, try to make a commitment to yourself to put at least a little bit of time into this right here. And I think you guys will be off to an awesome start right there. And just again say, okay, I'm gonna try to spend let's say an hour a week trying to market this right here, or I'm going to contact 5 or 10 or 20 guys each week. Have some kind of goal that you stick to, and you'll eventually see results off that, and it'll get far easier as time goes on because you'll learn from the mistakes that you have made, and you'll see what gets more or less responses and stuff like that. So with that, guys, again, I want to thank all of you for being on this call here. And if you have any other questions or if anything pops up later or anything like that, you can use the help desk inside of WebFire, or you can also write support@webfire.com. It's better to use the help desk in case there's ever like an email issue or if it goes to spam or anything. You'll always see a reply inside the help desk. But if not, you can always write again to support@webfire.com. And with that, Sean, is there any last minute thing you want to add in before we wrap up?
Yes, Francis, you need to give us your PayPal email address. She posted thank you, but she didn't tell us how to get her paid. So do that. It'll be even more fun. Thank you. All right, everybody. Hey, first of all, thanks for being members. Thanks for participating. Thanks for taking. And again, just keep moving forward and keep doing stuff. As Brian said, if you just chip away at this, you'll get results, especially when it comes to literally selling anything. It doesn't matter whether you're trying to sell these services, you're trying to sell stuff in your e-commerce store. It doesn't matter. It's all a numbers game. It literally, I mean, it's just sheer numbers. If you ever go into a sales meeting at any kind of real big company where there's professional sales people on staff, they just start breaking everything down by numbers. Okay, so we get this many people, and we take this many people, and if we get 100 prospects, it's going to be 17 conversations. Out of 17 conversations, we close 26% after 3 meetings or whatever the numbers are, And so they just know, look, we put more contacts, more effort in the front end, and all of our numbers yield results. So don't get discouraged if you're like, okay, I emailed a guy one time and he didn't even respond. Well, it's just like one guy that you sent an email to. Let's not give up that easily. Come on, okay? So just keep sticking with it. With whatever you're focusing on. It doesn't mean you have to do this, but if you're doing this, it's the same as anything else. Just keep taking action, following forward, and doing that stuff, and we'll rock. So go for it. Thank you, Brian. I'll let you wrap it up.
All right, guys. With that, again, thanks for being on this call. And if there's any ideas or any topics that you'd like to be covered on a future call, let us know. We always love that feedback there, and always want to train you in what you guys want to hear more on. And with that, guys, thanks once again. Any other questions, feel free to write support@webfire.com, and we look forward to seeing you next week, Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. So with that, guys, take care, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.